Morbius. Do we even need this movie? Let's talk about it. Morbius is Sony's most recent comic book film to release this year. It stars Jared Leto and it's directed by Daniel Espinosa. It has a runtime of 1 hour and 44 minutes, and it is arguably the worst comic book film since Captain Marvel. You can feel the 1 hour and 44-minute runtime hard. I had to fight myself to not fall asleep during the movie at least 2 to 3 times. Sony possibly just found the cure for insomnia. Make a movie, put it in front of people, and watch them fall right to sleep. Now, you might be asking yourself, was this movie that bad? The answer is yes. This movie was just that damn bad. From the overuse of the CGI that was emphasized by the film getting a Zack Snyder slow motion action sequence treatment where every single shot was tight and in slow motion all the time, every one of them. And it got distracting and it got old really, really quickly. The main detectives in the film were so incompetent. They were overlooking so many clues that point to Morbius not being the guy that they were looking for. Now, let's talk about Tyrese. This dude was the biggest meme in Hollywood for quite some time. But that kind of stopped when it came to this year's Oscar. And that title now belongs to Will Smith. Getting back to Tyrese himself, his acting was stiff. He felt out of place. His acting was overacted. Like he emphasized in so many different emotions that were just over the top. That kind of took you out of the scene. And it just didn't feel right. This dude, I cannot take seriously. Imagine if he had gotten the role of Django instead of Jamie Foxx. He just needs to stick to Fast and Furious because these serious roles just are not for him. And he just needs to go back to what he does, pseudo best, and stick with it. And then you got poor Jared Leto. This man can't catch a break with these comic book roles. The only thing he's catching right now is a whole bunch of L's. He's basically on to when it comes to these comic book adaptations. He had the Gangster Joker that was a terrible design, and the writing in the Suicide Squad was just as bad. The version of the Joker that we got in Zack Snyder's Justice League cut was slightly better, especially the look. We didn't get much from the dialogue, but I would assume it would be better because you can only go up from the Suicide Squad. And now he's back with Morbius, the literal living vampire. And this film did not go over so well for him. It was a shitty comic book adaptation that Jared Leto got roped into yet again. This movie was just another L for him. It's commendable to see him continue to try to carve his way into this portion of the industry, but
some is always trying to ice skate uphill.
It just ain't gonna happen, man. So he just needs to pack it up, let it go, and move on. This film, there was nothing about it that made me want to root for Morbius at all. The motivation for the character was generic and bland, and at times in the film, I was laughing at scenes that I probably shouldn't have laughed at. I don't think they were meant to be funny. And the fact that the villain in the story was written so poorly as well just hit home the idea that the writing was lackluster and minimalist at best. And by the end of the film, I could care less who survived or who lost because the writing for the characters were just bad. I didn't care for anything about them. There was no attachment to them. Even the romantic interest he had in the film was fucking bad as well. How could you mess up something that is as basic to human nature as falling in love? This is a tale that is old as time, and they found a way to make it so arbitrary and diluted to the plot, and it suffered so heavily for it. This film suffers from just some terrible writing, some bad character development, a generic plot, and such an underwhelming antagonist versus protagonist dynamic. This movie gets all the core elements that you need to have a character or a movie or a new franchise introduced into a already saturated market, it gets everything wrong. And this just did not succeed for him. And the box office is super low right now. I think it's only at like $82 million. And that's terrible for a superhero film in this day and age. And not to even mention the way that this kind of changes up the multiverse that was established in Spider-Man No Way Home. And I can't say how this, or I can't see how this is going to fit into that world. But that's probably going to be another video for another time. Overall, this film was a complete dumpster fire and definitely not worth the price of admission. So just save your money and just wait for it to start streaming on TV. Well, that's it for the video, guys. I don't see Sony becoming the juggernaut that Marvel is with their Spider-Verse. They just don't have what it takes, man. Like, I went into this film with low expectations and I did not get them met even to that point. It suffers from, like I said, bad writing, bad character development, bad dynamic between the main character and the main villain. And that is a sign of just poor writing. And one of my old videos that I put out a couple weeks ago about how important the villain is to a story, they missed all the marks in this film. But with that said, man, save your money and wait for it to start streaming. My name's Lincoln. This is the RPG Show. Hit that notification bell. Leave any comments you got down in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.